This is my old electric push bike, minus the front wheel. I have bought a front wheel, I'm just waiting for it to show up. I built this 12, 13 years ago when nobody really had seen electric push bikes. I started with a battery and made a cardboard mock-up of the frame on a workbench. So the battery's inside here. So I made the cardboard out, battery, the motor controller sits inside here, and I worked my way from there. So I designed this bike from a blank nothing, and I rode it around for quite some time. The tricky part really was getting the swing arm bearings so they work nicely when you go around a corner on a lean, and you can see I had to put an extra spring in here to cope with the geometry of this spare wheel. I've just finished rebuilding it. I've put a mudguard on it and some lights. That's a 1500 watt wheel. It's got a 48 volt 20 amp hour battery, which is good for 50 k's an hour. There's my key and my charge port. So charge port, take keys out, charge port there. Plug her in and charge it when you get home. Turn the key on. So it's got a headlight on the front and a tail light on the back, which always go. I used to ride it to work and I get a wet backside if I went over a puddle, so I put the mudguard on it and thought I'd get a light. I hooked a lock on it as well so that I don't have to wear that around my shoulder, and it just kind of sits through those nicely made things there. So when you pull up somewhere you can lock it. There is a GPS unit in there, so if I text it'll tell me where it currently is, and there's a horn for going on the footpath. So it has a twist throttle, and of course you can pedal it as well, which is good for takeoffs and things, but after about 30 kilometres an hour there's no use pedaling it after that. I laser cut the carbon fibre for those and those. This is a 20mm axle, so that's the problem with the front wheel. I'm just waiting for the 20mm front wheel to come, but the rest of it, there's a lot of skills going into making those. There's a heck of a lot of stuff. It's not just a matter of buying things, bits and pieces. Everything's fabricated. The whole lot is made and fabricated by hand effectively, and there's just a heck of a lot to get everything working and to get everything right, wheel tensioners and brakes and all the whole shebang. There's a lot goes through with it. One thing I will say is I actually got the geometry and stuff pretty right. It's nice and narrow, and it actually looks pretty decent as well, but it does ride really well. You can corner. You just lean it in around corners and stuff, and it's really soft riding because of the suspension. So when you're actually leaning and you're bouncing around a corner, that's when your swing arm bushes come into play, and you figure out whether you got those right or not, because that's critical. You don't want to be leaning and bouncing and then all of a sudden going crazy. So there's a little bit about my homemade electric bike. I think I'll make any more of them, but it's been a project to rebuild that. I did an interesting paint on it, which there's a green colour, and then I put a matte clear, and it's got a fleck in it as well. So the colour does change when you walk around the place, and it's going to be interesting to see it out in the light and see what it looks like. But it is quite an interesting colour. I'm not a painter. There were some flaws in it, but it's an alright paint job, and it's an automotive paint, and it's got a proper clear coat and stuff over it, so it will be kind of rock hard and solid. And one of the reasons I did this was to have a play around with my paint booth. So there's we won't talk about that too much, but there's the go-karts that I build. That's my design there. That's number 14, and that's number 15 there. I take the kids out on the field at school and race them around, and there's number 16 being built, which I do have complete books and things on how to do those, so I wrote all these books, did all the computer drawings and stuff. If you're interested in details of that, hit me up. These things they do wicked drifties and stuff, and they're a lot of fun to race around. I like to race them around as well. They, again, do 50 odd k's an hour, and they got grippy front wheels, so they grip, and slidey back wheels, so they slide. 6.5 horsepower motors. So they're actually a pretty decent little go-kart actually. The next one I'm making has got a slightly longer feet to seat ratio and such, but it's a little look around in my school workshop. I get the kids here to rebuild lawnmowers too, amongst other things we do. Thanks.